Well, everyone, so good to be together
Yep.
across the table. Sunday, we just got back from church, and here we are talking about songwriting, talking about what God's doing at our church, talking about, just even the method and the way that the Holy Spirit is working among us. And specifically about this one song we're going to take a look at, I Will Sing. You guys were some of the writers on that song. Thank you for giving us the gift of that song. We're so excited to talk about it and want to hear kind of why don't we start where it started?
Yeah, that's right.
All I remember was, talking about, are there any series coming up with the church that we feel will be relevant and would work for this season that our church is in? And I remember, I think it was Joe, I think you said something out of Exodus would work. And we went to Exodus 15, and really, from that point on, at least the verse and the choruses seemed to just really just fall into place.
They just kind of wrote themselves.
Yeah.
Can you read us a bit of that?
Yeah, so we were working out of the ESV at that time, and we started literally in verse 1, and halfway through verse 1 it says, "I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously." That was the first line in our song. I think we dropped a word, and we just continued to do that, throwing melody over top of what was already written. So, the Spirit was leading us pretty directly in that moment.
And so obviously, there are many different ways that a song can start and many different ways that it can enter into a community. But going from that angle, from a sermon series, what was kind of the hope or the vision for that kind of angle?
We talk a lot at C4, right, about how there's places where we are guaranteed to meet with God, and that looks like at the communion table. That looks like when when we're doing some acts of service together. There's a long list that we talk about of these places where God says He will, wherever two or three are gathered, He will meet with us. And so there's this thing that happens when we write songs and sing songs together. That is where God comes and meets with us. And so we're trying to capture what God is doing in our unique church in this unique sermon series that we're going into. And then He met with us really when we were gathered in that room. But then we got stuck and we had to pull in a couple other friends, Brooke and Steve Lansing.
And Brooke and Steve weren't part of the original writing group, but because they understood what we're going for, what the song is trying to do. So I think it's a really neat display where each of us individually or collectively, we don't feel like this is my song or our song.
Not at all.
That's right.
Yeah, this is our collective work, because the heart of it is not to have a song for us to write, it's to have a song for our church to sing. Right? So for Brooke and Steve to come along, even though they're not part of the original thing, they get the heart of it, they get the inspiration, they get the destination that we're trying to go to, and so then they can bring their voice and add in to what's already there. The other reason we were stuck is because Matt had this awesome guitar line inspired by Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen, yes, that's where we took this idea from. Yeah,
and Matt was
dancing
not
in
willing.
the dark. Even when we were dancing, that's where this hook comes from.
Okay, I didn't know that
Yeah,
part.
that's where this hook comes from.
Only makes me like it more.
Right, Springsteen, man, the boss.
So thank you, Bruce Springsteen, for inspiring one of our favorite songs.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
I think just being a part of the team and witnessing and observing God do this among us, and it's just so interesting to me, just even in the picture of the way that this song was written, even even if Steve hadn't been a part of the writing, just him as a part of a group, in a collective, how God speaks. That for many of us, we were like, well, sure, let's keep writing, and that song sat, but that in the collective there was a voice that said, actually, we need to bring this forward, and that God using a group of us and all of our skills and gifts and orientations to different things like musicality or lyrics or production or church vision, whatever that might be, to see how something can emerge from all different perspectives, almost the same prism.
And needing sometimes someone outside of that original, we couldn't take it farther, but we did think as a whole collective group there was something really significant in this song, and we couldn't get it across that kind of finish line, and that's where building the trust for us as a team of songwriters to say I don't feel that owner. Oh, we have to be the ones that finish it. No, Brooke and Steve were we would never have recorded the song if we didn't have those extra people come to the table to help us. I wish they were here today with us
Right.
to talk about it too, because they were as much a part of it. Even if they only wrote a couple lines, it's the thing that actually made the song
That's right.
Yeah.
complete.
This song has now been recognized nationally. The GMA Canada, the Gospel Music Association, the Covenant Awards. It won the
Inspirational Song of the Year.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just need to see from kind of small acts of obedience to now this national recognition. And of course, and obviously we always say it's not about the award, but it's really encouraging, I think, for our team, for our church. And our hope in this whole thing is that if this story is an encouragement to us, that it also be an encouragement to other places. So other churches, other groups of songwriters all over our country, you know, if we can sort of peel back the curtain a little bit and show some of this story behind the story, so that however this can be an encouragement to other people in other places would be, I think, would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, even at the awards, in that moment, being able to recognize and have people from all over Canada, and for Steve to exhort the people
Right.
and say, calling all people, as a part of churches across Canada, like we have a new song to sing, and so let this be like a flag or like a spark to remind you to lift your head and to get to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
great.
So there's lots of work to do.
yeah, there is. Thank you for your time, for your obedience. Can't wait to see what God does next.